It's official. Every day is game day at Buffalo Wild Wings. Grab select domestic beers starting at $3.25. We know every day is for sports, as mandated by Buffalo Wild Wings. Watch all the games with people that are here for the right reason, with dozens of beers on tap and 21 different flavors of signature sauces and seasonings, and a bounty of wings, shareables, burgers, and more. It's built for fans. It's home for sports. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Offers and participation vary. Please drink responsibly.
Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
There, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude. We're rooting, and we go into that fight just to land on the line.
Boxing fans, this is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. Hope you're having a great night. We are live, per usual, on a Wednesday, technically a Thursday, but it is 100% a West Coast show tonight. Was really busy tonight, which is a good thing, obviously, but I wasn't able to start it as early as I wanted to, so I'm not quite sure who's going to be able to call in. We'll just kind of play it by ear. But anyway, welcome to the show. Like I said, I am your host, Chris Carlson. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we had a steady weekend in the sport last weekend, no doubt about it. Plenty of talk about when it comes to Pacquiao, Prograis, and Lopez. In fact, Teofimo I suppose you gotta say Pacquiao had the best weekend, considering, where he was in his last fight and all that good stuff. But Lopez had a pretty damn good weekend himself. That's for sure. He looked really good. So we're gonna talk about, the just a bunch of ESPN stuff, whether it's the ESPN Plus app or even Golden Boy. The undercard was pretty weak, but the main event was a pretty good fight, I thought. I don't know if you guys caught that. If you're bored, I think it's worth, if it's sitting on your DVR, I think it's somewhat worth it anyway to go back and check it out. So we'll definitely recap the weekend. Like I said, Manny Pacquiao, he looked pretty good. As good as Pacquiao looked, you could probably say that Matisse looked pretty damn bad. Not to take away everything or anything like that, but it was kind of interesting that way. I did think it actually would be a little bit tighter of a fight, but that was not the case. But like I said, we'll open with recap. We'll definitely get to some news as well. God, what the heck is going on with my... Okay, looks like we're good to go. We'll definitely go over... Well, I honestly thought that we'd have to spend a little bit more time on Eddie Hearn's DAZN, the new streaming service. Not that we're not gonna. We are gonna check it out, but it's just not as impressive as you'd assume with that kind of money. So anyway, I'm just making sure my switchboard is good to go. Anyway, we'll get that out of the way. We'll talk a little bit news. Of course, we got to talk about what's going on this weekend. Busy weekend once again. HBO. Yes, I said it. HBO. HBO has a fight card. You may want to sit down for this, guys. It's a doubleheader. It's on HBO. It's actually happening. They're having a fight card. We'll talk about it a little bit. Talk about some of the other parts of the schedule too. Golden Boy ESPN on Friday, Showbox as well. But a lot of the prediction preview segment will focus around Alexander Usyk versus uysk-gassiev for the World Boxing Super Series final. This will crown a king. This will crown the king of the cruiserweight division. And like I said, the World Boxing Super Series, they're having a big weekend in general. We'll give you all the details. So, yeah, we'll go recap. We'll go some news. Some of it will be Eddie Hearn, Ross, the DAZN, the new streaming service, their roster, and really just 2 dates. I guess technically 3 dates that they have scheduled out. And just some other fight news, you know what I mean? Like I said, we'll catch you up on World Boxing Super Series plans this weekend. And some rumor items as well. And then we'll preview and predict, that big fight at the cruiserweight division, Usyk and Gassiev. Really looking forward to that fight, no doubt about it. If this is your first time listening to the Rope It Up Radio podcast, it streams live here generally on Wednesdays at blogtalkradio.com/Rope-It-Up-Radio. It's basically the headquarters, has been from day one. We also are part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. And both things I just mentioned are available on iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, all over the board, right? And also, it's available on iHeartRadio, the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. I know as far as the Rope It Up Radio podcast, I know that if you use TuneIn, the TuneIn app, I believe, is it Spreaker or TuneIn? You can actually check it out on Spotify. But if you subscribe to the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, you can listen. You can stream it live, the show and many others, on Spotify. So check that out. Go ahead and visit thegruelingtruth.net. That's thegruelingtruth.net. They got a great sponsor over there, mybookie.ag. That's mybookie.ag. You got boxing, you got football, basketball, baseball. Head on over to thegruelingtruth.net. Listen to a podcast, read an article. Heck, why not just place a bet right there? It'll send you right to mybookie.ag. So anyway, we got that out of the way. Let me take a quick drink of agua. Wow, that was way too big. I almost choked, but I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. Like I said, I hope you had a good hump day. I know I did. Definitely had a nice, steady night. Got some stuff during the day. Got some stuff done during the day. I should finish that off. But we got to start with Manny Pacquiao. I mean, where else are we going to start? Where else are we going to start? Manny Pacquiao versus Lucas Matisse. We were really wondering what each fighter has left in the tank. We knew they were both faded as far as their respected primes, clearly. If you look at their last fights, Matisse, he looked washed. He looked washed against Takim or whatever the hell that dude, that shouldn't have been in the ring with him. He looked washed with that guy. Pacquiao didn't really look that much better against, Horn. Had that 9th round where he exploded but couldn't finish the show. That wasn't the case. Matisse still looked washed. That's not to take anything away. From Pacquiao. But Matisse looked pretty garbage. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he looked pretty damn garbage. You know what I mean? And, he's done. He's 100% done. And I know this was a total joke that the WBA made this a title fight. It is what it is. But On the Pacquiao side, Pacquiao was fairly aggressive, landing a bunch of right hooks. Of course, the straight left hand, the left uppercut, had the jab going somewhat. I mean, what round could you have given to Pacquiao? The fourth, maybe. It was close. Matisse did. Did I say what round could you have given Pacquiao? I don't know what I just said there. It's a little late for me. It's really not that late. We're going to be okay. But Matisse landed a few overhand rights that were pretty solid. Maybe you give him the fourth round. Third round, and a little uppercut with the left hand, knocked down Matisse. More straight left. A lot of lead lefts, of course. There's a nice late right hand, actually. I jotted in my notes in that third round. Fifth round, jabs, left hands early by Pacquiao, then a right hook, and Matisse just took a knee at the last second there of that fifth round, and it was, it's one of those where he lands a punch and you're like, we've seen the delayed reaction. That's nothing new. That's old hat, but I don't know. It just looked like, you good then, or like, are you going to be done? But he got up. He did get up, and Pacquiao just started, spurting with that left hand, and once in a while throwing quick combos. Matisse did land a nice low blow in that sixth round, now that I remember. Really hard left hands, like midway through the seventh by Pacquiao, then like a left uppercut. Looked like it was going to be another knockdown, TKO, KO. It was a wrap. It was over. So, a very good performance. We can't sit there and say it wasn't. It was a very good performance, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I thought it was a really good performance. Where do you rate them? Or not necessarily rate them, but, how do you rate the performance? Because, you have Matisse being such, just gone, off the face of the map. So, I don't know, man. It is one of those things where, I don't know. It's tough. And I don't want to take a bunch of credit away because, to be honest with you, I thought Pacquiao would win. I thought maybe, potentially, he could TKO him or something like that. I guess you could maybe say that's kind of how it turned out in a sense. But I wasn't expecting Pacquiao to land that hard. It did seem like, and that's why it's kind of, I'm not going to say all the way throwback, right? I'm not going to sit there and say a throwback Pacquiao where everything he threw kind of looked like it hurt, but it did kind of seem like a bunch of punches that he threw landed with authority. I'll say that. The crowd was pretty hyped. He could definitely make some money there in Malaysia through the crowd and obviously the government giving him money and whatnot. But the obvious thing is the lack of drug testing as far as what we're becoming somewhat accustomed to when it comes to bigger names, bigger fights, yada, yada, yada. The VADA Olympic-style testing. And, generally speaking, it's a little before camp, during camp. It's not really some Olympic style actually where you're year round and whatnot. But there wasn't any testing, and I'm not alleging anything. I'm not saying this is exactly how it is. I'm not saying that I have a drug test that is negative, or positive. There's nothing like that. But as you know, if you listen to the show, if I see something, I'm going to say it. If I see back acne all of a sudden on somebody, you know what I mean? If you just see somebody's body, looking like it never has, I'm going to say something, and I'll say this. Three things come to mind. One, there was no stringent testing. Do they have a test like we doing our commission where you take one test during the camp sometime. A lot of times it's about 15 days somewhere, give or take, before, the fight night, then after the fight. Maybe they have that. But other than that, there was no VADA testing. There was no testing. So that's one. Two, a lot of punches that Pacquiao landed, you could see they were bugging Matisse. You could see it was affecting him. So it had that, it kind of felt like the Pacquiao old that way, right? And three, his physique. I did mention before, the fight on the show last week that what I had seen, it did look like his stomach and everything. It did look like, I couldn't tell if it was the angles that they were given in the camp and in the gym, trying to make it look even better. But on the scale, he looked pretty good. And fight night, I'll be honest, his shoulders looked a little bigger. He looked like he was just a little bit more muscle, not even like big. That's the thing. You can't think of like 1980s get to the chopper, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 80s shit where they're just huge dudes. No. It's more just ripped and like defined. You know what I mean? It's not just big bulky dudes. That's generally not the case. But it did look like he was in better shape than he had been, and not just watching the fight going, wow. I mean, his punch output was up, no doubt about it. He wasn't throwing Tasmanian devil combinations that we've seen out of Pacquiao, but it was up. It was up. The punch output was up. Like I said, most of it was like two-punch combos, if not just lead punches with the right, with the left, but with the right hook and the lead left. But it's hard not to think, damn, like he was really fucking up Matisse. And we haven't seen him fuck up too many people that way. We haven't seen people react. I mean, I guess you could say Algieri getting knocked down a bunch of those times, but other than that, we just haven't seen it. You know what I mean? We just haven't seen it. So it is what it is. I'm not going to sit there and shit on his parade, but I'm not going to just be like, Pacquiao's back, dude. Yeah, dude, he shouldn't have to test. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It did seem like he had a lot of more power than he had previously. It seemed like his shoulders and traps and just certain, areas of his body looked better. Okay, I'm not alleging anything. I'm not saying that I have an inside scoop. This is just eye test. And I guess you could say, to an extent, experience, right? Watching this stuff. Anyway, where does he go from here? Where does Manny like I said, Manny Pacquiao could probably make some decent money fighting in Malaysia or whoever else is going to pay. I just keep using Malaysia because the fight was just there. And the crowd was hyped. The crowd was into it. And, other stuff, right? So it's good. It's very close to his home country and whatnot, so I could see that being a good place for him. I don't know how many people are going to go over there to fight him. Obviously, they'd be silly not to have drug testing, both sides, not just testing Manny. And I'm not trying to pick on Manny. I mean, if you think I'm saying he was on steroids or PED, cool, that's fine. I actually do think he was. I have no proof, though. I'm not reporting anything. That's just my opinion. But there's plenty of other people that do it, fighters that do it. So I'm not trying to just pick on him. But, Amir Khan stands out potentially. He could probably fight in the UK. I don't know if it'd be a big enough fight here. It'd definitely be on pay-per-view in the UK, though. It'd be a big, big fight. They could probably make as much money here as they would in the UK as far as from the live gate. But, Manny needs a lot of money down up front or just in general if he's ever going to fight here again. That way he can pay his taxes. Before this, we heard that he's willing to drop down to 135 and fight Lomachenko next. We're now hearing just ever so slightly just murmurs, just little, not even like a Tweety bird, not even like a little message bird, right? Like in Game of Thrones. We're hearing just little peeps about Crawford, but that really feels like that fight's not happening. And, you know, we know that Manny Pacquiao has said plenty of times that he eats a huge meal in the morning and afternoon before he even gets on the scale. So making 140, I truly 100% believe he can make 140. Now, 135, it could get, I mean, he hasn't been there since, 2008? And he had a cup of coffee. He didn't even finish the coffee. He took that shit to go. Or he took one big gulp, left it on the table, because he wasn't there. Wasn't it just that Diaz fight? I'm trying to think back. Yeah, because that 08 Marquez, that was like March or April. I think it was March. That was that 130, and then he moved just for that 135, and then so I'm pretty sure it's just that. So I would like to see the Lomachenko fight. I'm not going to lie. Part of it is turning the page. I want Crawford or Lomachenko to get this fight. Because some of it is just, he's got a torch. Let Crawford or Lomachenko light his fucking torch on your torch and pass that shit on. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just being honest. Not to say Pacquiao can't compete. Clearly, Lomachenko wouldn't have fought anything like him at lightweight, you know. That's for sure, if in fact he can make that weight. Amir Khan does make sense. I do believe it does. But does it make sense for sure on the Eddie Hearn-Khan side when they still want that Kell Brook fight? Potentially. I don't know. I mean, the way it goes, I mean, I do believe they could make that fight anytime. Now, it's not a Wembley fight, in my opinion, right now. You'd have to stack the shit out of the card. That's not really ripping it, though, you know, saying it's not a Wembley card. That really doesn't mean much. I mean, filling up Wembley does. I'm saying I'm not ripping it. They could just do really well at the O2. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So, Khan, Lomachenko, Crawford. You know, Lomachenko or Amir Khan, that's who I'd guess is going to be potentially next. That's just a educated guess, right? Let's see here. On to the other card. That was ESPN Plus. This is normal ESPN. Regis Prograis against Juan Jose Velasco. And before we get into this fight, this clearly was a showcase, stay busy fight. I do want to give credit to the Velasco, though. I really do. Now, when you look at his resume, he hadn't fought anybody. When you look at his resume, you could be like, wow, it could be almost like Gilberto Ramirez's two opponents this year. You know, and I know I've made a big stink about the back-to-back, stay busy, underwhelming, kind of bullshit main events to go 3 in a row, right? And you really couldn't give this guy too many rounds, Velasco. However, he was undefeated. He hadn't fought anybody. You don't know what you got until you see it. Now, he's a top-ranked fighter. So it is kind of funny. They knew, well, we haven't tested him yet, but we're willing to – it's not even a bad loss for him. You know, this is a good experience. Now, it's too big of a step up for him, obviously. And that's why it was, looked at like a stay-busy fight. However, considering he hadn't fought anybody, I thought Velasco – not just showed heart, because his corner's a dipshit. I mean, just for the end of the fight, not overall. But this dude did belong in a stay busy fight. He belonged in that contender range to an extent. I do believe that. So I'm not one of these people that sit here and talk all sorts of shit about something and then make an excuse up the next week or be like, oh, this, that, and the third. No. Like I said, you could probably only give the guy 1 round, but still, he fought well. Velasco, he fought well. I got to say that. It is kind of funny. I mentioned these back-to-back main events that were overmatched, clearly. Now, one of them didn't happen, as we know, but that was he was clearly overmatched. O'Connor with Ramirez, right? But I find it funny, the toughest, overmatched, underwhelming main event came with Prograis. Prograis, out of all those three, Prograis actually got probably the best no-name opponent. And there's really no surprise because Prograis isn't, with Top Rank. And Top Rank has Velasco, so they're like, hey, why not? We'll get a look at him for Ramirez anyway, you know what I mean? So it is kind of funny how I sure would have liked this Velasco-type guy, nondescript guy. I would have liked that type of guy for Gilberto Ramirez at least once this year out of his two, stiffs that he fought. So credit to Juan. I got to say that. Juan Jose, man, you tried your hardest. Not just that, though. You did land punches, dude. You were there to win the fight. You were in that contender range, and I respect you. To me, Prograis looked like he wanted that New Orleans knockout, hometown knockout. That's what it looked like to me. Now, I'm going to use an example here of a fighter, Gervonta Davis. Now, they don't fight the exact same way. But on the way up, both of them showed power, but they also showed kind of, I'm coming at you, I don't give two shits what you're doing. And a little bit of headhunting on the way up. Now, that's not the case with Prograis, and lately, that's not the case with Gervonta. But I remember Gervonta Davis on that undercard of Broner, and I think it was Theophane on Spike. There's just times where he was going for the knockout so much, he would end up getting hit a lot. Too much. Not a lot, but just too much. And I kind of felt that way. I felt like the first 3 rounds, Prograis was busier. He was coming forward, but Velasco was landing plenty, dude. He had success. He really did. Maybe by the 4th, in the 5th round, he started having less success. He was less active. And in fact, that 5th round, it was a left hand to the chest, right to the solar plex, probably a minute in, that caused the knockdown. But I got to say, dude, Prograis had a good start in that 6th round, but you may have given him the 6th round after getting knocked down. Velasco landed some flush shots, dude. 7th round, though, 35 seconds in, left hand to the body, another knockdown, some flurries in the 8th, TKO. Could have been stopped earlier. It could have been stopped earlier. And so here I am giving all this praise to Velasco, not trying to take away from Prograis, because once he kind of got into his groove and actually started showing some defense, because he moves his head, but he gets stuck into a pattern at times. Other times he gives you angles, he gives you different looks, he feints really well, he goes to the body really well. To me, he just looked like, hey, I'm coming to knock you the fuck out early. And he was a little sloppy, a little wide, and just didn't give two shits about getting hit. Now, as he steps up in class, could that be a problem? Hell yeah. And I remember, like I said, that's why I brought up Gervonta Davis, because sometimes they're just too much in a hurry. Now, we haven't seen that out of Davis in a while, but I'm saying on the way up. And to me, it just looked like Prograis was trying to get the knockout. He settled down a little bit probably after that 4th round and started really digging into the body. So kudos to him. But he looked, I'm not going to say shaky, because he did kind of recoup his defense later in the fight. But those early rounds, it was like, dude, you're getting hit a lot. And plenty of them, like probably over half of them, were landing pretty flush, dude. So, I guess it's one to grow on or something like that. But Prograis got to tighten up that defense. When he does it, though, he can defend. Don't get me wrong, but he just does. He's just one of those guys that it looks like he moves his head. Sometimes it becomes a little easy to, a little repetitive if you're doing the same left, right, with your head. But whatever. Overall, he tightened up. He got the job done. And it was pretty dope. It was like 3,200 or 3,500, something like that. They're in New Orleans. Crowd was bumping. And to have the Honey Badger, dude, to have the Honey Badger, the LSU, one of the best players out of LSU, get an interview before. And then they had Leonard Fournette, one of the most popular running backs to ever play the game. And they had, didn't they have Booger McFarland too? Pretty sure he was in the ring too. But to have, a guy who's really popular at LSU recently too. It's not like years and years ago. This is recent. He's got that belt in the air, and that was dope. And you got to like that. You got to like that, man. I mean, to see that, that's a good look. In June we had Jerry Jones in the fucking ring. You know what I mean? This is good looks for boxing, dude. This really is. This is good to have the Honey Badger there saying all good sorts of good stuff about Prograis, dude. That's a good look, and it was nice to see the hometown come out and support, especially when Prograis is still, young in his career. Now it's on to the World Boxing Super Series, and we'll get into some of the details. We'll know by the end of this weekend the first round, just so you know. Teofimo Lopez going against Silva. I mean, I thought, wow, this is going to be over quick. First round left hook knockdown. I was like, oh, shit. This is easy. You did, Silva started getting a little busier, though. But Lopez, he was mixing up his punches. He was sharp. He's fast. Sometimes he gets a little, well, not sometimes. He does lunge at times too much. I mean, I think that'll burn you at some time, excuse me. I think that'll burn you at some point. But it's not like he does it every time, But especially like the left hook, it seems. The hooks in general. But yeah, man, Teofimo Lopez looked very good. 6th round came around. He landed probably about 4 or 5 left hands, a right hand in there, knockout. It was a wrap. That was another fight that probably needed to, stop, be stopped. But Teofimo Lopez, first of all, he's got the dancing, right? He's got the dancing, and he's got the backflip, dude. So kudos to him. And like I said, if it wasn't for Manny looking like maybe 5, 6, 7 years younger, just in that fight, could be the opponent. Who knows? Could be other stuff too. But beyond that, I think Teofimo had the best weekend, man. I mean, that dude. And it was funny how he was talking about, because didn't he bloody up his nose not long ago? Maybe it was the last fight. I can't remember. But I remember at the end, he's a character too. I remember he was saying, and this time it's not my blood. The blood on me is from him. You know what I mean? That shit happened quick too. But he's an upcoming prospect. What is he, 10-0, 12-0, some shit like that? I mean, this guy, he's talented. He's very talented, very slick, can hit hard. I like what I see, man. He's he's moving along really well. Hopefully, he's top ranked, so they're not going to put him in with Loma anytime soon. But, well, I mean, relatively. I'm not saying anytime soon, like 5 years or even 2 years. I think they put him in before that, but I don't want them to rush him, but I think they can keep stepping him up because this dude seems like he's the real deal. He's 135, right at lightweight. So kudos to him, man. Like I said, Lopez, if it wasn't for Pacquiao, I don't know, man. Lopez had a pretty damn, and obviously the opponent he was facing, not so much. Because remember, this is the guy that went the distance with what's-his-toes, Puerto Rican young prospect. Verdejo, Felix Verdejo, and people were shitting on Verdejo for not knocking him out. So it is what it is. But kudos to Teofimo, dude. That he's got some skill, man. I like what I see out of that prospect. I try not to bend over backwards, pause, or just like go way over the top for prospects. That's just not my style. I've just learned in the past that you got to wait till you actually see him against somebody to really go all the way over the top and say, yep, I'm ready to crown him or some shit. But this dude's nice with his skills. Now, the Golden Boy ESPN card, the two women's fights, Cornejo against that Samantha, I forgot her last name. That shit was quick. Third round, TKO, over. Senicia Estrada, I mean, 2 minutes in, left-hand knockdown. Third round, left hook to the body, variety of punches. Good skills Estrada has, no doubt about it. She scored the knockout, too. I think it was third round, right? Something like that. It was quick. So the undercard, not so much. Neither of these girls belonged in the ring with the other, it seemed like, to try to win anyway. But the main event was pretty good. So Joet Gonzalez and Rafael Rivera gave us a nice little scrap. It definitely saved the card because, like I said, those first two fights were weak, to say the least. And I think they've made a nice little run of late, anyway, Golden Boy, with these cards. I really think it's improved lately, but it's only improved. It was pretty low. It had fallen pretty low, in my opinion, in most people. But, Gonzalez got off to a good start. He was aggressive, throwing the left hooks a lot. Both of them were landing a lot of left hooks. Good action fight. I think like a jab in the right hand was starting to really work for Joet. He stole that second round. I did think Riviera came back, though, and threw his jab in his right hand, especially midway and later in that third. I thought he had that round. The fourth round, I got a question mark there. I really don't know. The fifth and sixth was back and forth. Both of them fucking dig into the body. I'd probably say Joet, he landed the tad harder shots. So I'd give him the sixth anyway. Gave the seventh to Riviera, though. He landed the better shots. He was countering well. He was boxing well at times, in spots anyway. Some good exchanges as well. For me, that's when Gonzalez may have taken over a little bit more. There's good action in the eighth and ninth, though. Busier, though, I thought, throughout the rounds was Gonzalez. And you could see Riviera was ramping up the pressure as the fight went on. He definitely did that in the 10th round, but Joet landed some nice combinations. He really started letting his punches go, landing the harder shots. It was a very good scrap. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, my God, this is a scrap of the century, bro. I love saying bro because I never really say it. I'm a little too old for it, in my opinion. But, I love saying it as a joke. Hey, and I know everybody says it. I'm not trying to rip anybody out there. But, this was a good fight. I can't sit there and, honestly, I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a very fun, action-packed fight. And like I said, if it's sitting on your DVR right now, or if you go to their YouTube channel, which I believe they I'm pretty sure I can't talk right now for some reason. No, I'm pretty sure they have it on their YouTube channel. They generally put their stuff a little later on their YouTube channel. But yeah, good fight. Card, no doubt about it. And really, really good stuff, man. I was really happy. God damn it, what happened to my All right. Sorry about that, guys. This is kind of weird. All right, so that about does it for recap from last weekend. Obviously, a busy weekend. July's been pretty good. I'd have to say. I do think so. It's been pretty decent so far. And, to be fair, the next two weekends are the best weekends of the month. So we're in pretty good shape. Now, August, what's the best fight in August? You tell me. Beltran and Pedraza? Is that the best fight of the whole August? I have to dig a little deeper into the schedule. Yeah, because even like Groves and Callium Smith, if it ever happens, is going to be in September anyway. So, I don't know. But that's neither here nor there. So we're going to get into some news. Like I said, I started this show. This is one of the later shows I've done. And, I mean, beyond, like, post-fight shows back in the day when we used to do those. But so I'm not thinking too many people are going to be able to call in. So I have Portland. I know, I believe he's going to be able to give his 2 cents in this week, hopefully anyway. So I'm just going to cover some news, and then we'll get to this weekend as well. There is 26 minutes left of the live stream. You can dial 646-381-4990. That'll allow you to listen, for the whole show, not just the next 26 minutes. Because I made sure I got to do a show tomorrow on the NBA, and I'm pretty sure I haven't done 2 shows in a day in a while, but I'm pretty sure Blog Talk's still on that. You can only do 1 a day through Blog Talk anyway. I'm pretty sure they are, but anyway, I scheduled for 11:30 tonight, and then I started it probably almost. And I'm talking Central, so I started at probably 12:15, 12:20. I don't really remember. But I did manage to sneak it in. What was my overall point there, though? I was going to say something beyond that. I'm kind of getting distracted here a little bit. So let's talk a little bit of news. We will get to the HBO doubleheader. We will get to Usyk-gassiev. I cannot wait for that fight. By the way, Cloud with a K, cloudtv.com, which they've done other fights, by the way. They've definitely done other fights. Because I remember signing up for some, free bullshit thing. I remember signing up. So I do remember, people are like, what the hell is a Cloud TV? I do remember boxing on this before. So you can, I believe there's a free trial. I don't think I've used it this year, so maybe I could even get a free trial. I know I did a free trial before with them, though. So we will get that. Munguia and Liam Smith, heading on over, like I said, Showbox and the ESPN as well on Friday. Busy fight weekend, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But we will get into some news. We're going to go over a fight that the WBO made, or mandatory, I should say. They didn't make it. They called for a fight to be made. There is some other rumors out there going on. I'll fill you in with the World Boxing Super Series and whatnot. However, it is time to have a segment for Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Sports USA DAZN roster. And some people are maybe listening to the show going, DAZN? What the hell's a DAZN? Sure doesn't, it's not spelt like that, but it's German, so what are you going to do? DAZN, they're calling it DAZN. A lot of people just naturally say DAZN. Wasn't there a song? It was that Mother song. Mother, do you want to bang hands with me? Wasn't that DAZN or some shit like that? Anyway. DAZN, the DAZN roster, okay? Now, thankfully, and Eddie Hearn was honest about the pricing. He actually said the original price This is silly right now, but the original price. Now, maybe he's just blowing smoke or some shit, but he said that it dropped. They dropped it recently. But they actually were going to start $24.99 because we've heard like 15 to 20. I believe it's $20 or $18 or something like that in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong, Canadians. I figured it'd be about $12, $15, but it's $9.99. But could you imagine? Hey, come get our new streaming service with just boxing and Bellator, and pay $24.99 a month. God, that would have been, that'd have been horrible. But it is $9.99 a month, so it is double the ESPN subscription, or I should say ESPN Plus. The difference there is you can pay like basically $50. I think it's like $49.99 or some shit. It's $50 all year, and you can get ESPN Plus. Whereas this, you can't do that. It's $9.99, but you can cancel every time. There is a free month available as well, so that's cool. They got it to $9.99 a month. They even admitted that it was going to be $24.99. Then they were thinking right in the 15 to 20 range, and probably because of just looking at it. I mean, Netflix. They say they want to be the Netflix, of sports, but wasn't Netflix like $9.99 for a long ass time? I'm pretty sure they stuck with that price for a while. So it makes sense, especially when you don't have those other sports. You have like two niche sports. You could say MMA is not a niche sport, but Bellator is within the MMA range. I'm not ripping Bellator. I'm just telling it like it is. So if you look at ESPN Plus, they have boxing that you could maybe get Pacquiao or Lomachenko or Crawford, right? And you could also get like some shit fights too, right? I mean, it's not all, it hasn't been all great on the Plus, but on the ESPN Plus, but you have UFC and you have other sports, but nothing that stands way out. They have some MLS, they have some stuff, but not really much, right? Which makes sense because most of their top flight sports is going to be right there on ESPN. And once they said, I said this a couple times, once they said college sports, hey, there's college sports on the app. It's like, well, dude, that tells you it's not good. It's not good to great college football and college basketball, because when you say college sports, that's the two leading sports by a long, long way, by a marathon, basically. College football, college basketball. So when you say, oh, they got college sports on there, if they have college football and college basketball, it's generally going to be like small schools, which that makes sense too. It's not like everybody goes to the big schools. So if you're, if you want to, a lot of times you don't get a chance to see your games. And you've been probably streaming them on some shitty thing, or you've been following them on, the scoreboard, whatnot, on your phone and stuff. So it does make sense that way. But on the surface, it's double the price. It's boxing. They have boxing. They have more content, I'd say, on the app. That's for sure. DAZN. But then, UFC, Bellator, UFC is definitely a step up from Bellator, on average, I'm saying. So it is kind of a weird thing to say, hey, we're doubling, it actually is double the price, but we have like a knockoff brand in a sense. I'm talking about UFC, I'm not talking about boxing. They have more, we know the 16 cards here, 16 cards in UK, that's 32 cards. But then add the World Boxing Super Series to that. And that was key. You had to add the World Boxing Super Series. Considering how this opening roster went, the opening announcement of the roster and the dates, a couple months back, Eddie Hearn said he had a trick up his sleeve. He said that he's got September and October already booked. He's got the events done as far as officially announced, which was a little disappointing, I'd say, because, it's not that far off. But it is what it is. But the World Boxing Super Series, I believe the Season 2 has 3 different weight classes. We know the bantamweight's 118. We got 3 champions in that one. We know the 140-pounders. We got some champs in that. We got 2 matchups already done, I believe, because of the mandatories. And then there's 4 other fighters, obviously. That's going to be open. I'm assuming Prograis and Kelly will be able to or Taylor, Kelly, will be able to pick their own guy. That's what I'm assuming. That's because the other 2 fights are set for 140. And then the 3rd weight class, they're going to announce it. We actually heard cruiserweight. We've been hearing super middleweight. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the hell. If they want to do cruiserweight, definitely, I don't know. I think they'd have to seed it to the point where they would have to make, let's say Usyk won, right? They would have to make it so Breedis and Gassiev would fight maybe in the semis, and then maybe it's Dorticos or somebody else. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But the draft gala is going to be Friday. It's going to be the night before. They originally said the night after, but the night after is actually the Boxing Day in Russia. That's what I'm hearing. So the night before they'll have that draft gala. It'll be the night before the fight. It's in Russia because that's where the Uysk-gassiev fight is. So a lot of this announcement, are all going to be a done deal. And that shit will come out much before, like, we're going to get it early Friday, if you think about it. It's not like we're going to have to wait till late Friday night to know the matchups and everything like that. So that's pretty cool that they're being able to stay on schedule to an extent. You know what I mean? And it's also cool that they pushed these fights back so we didn't have any bullshit. We actually got these 2 in the ring, and there's no issues. So getting the World Boxing Super Series on top of 32 cards is pretty dope. But I'll say this. I mean, there's really no other way to look at his roster than to say it's mediocre. And I'm talking about the Matchroom USA DAZN roster. We're not talking about his roster in the UK. We're talking about the new signees, right? And some of these guys got signed in the last week or so. Some of these guys in the last 10 days got contacted. So, Eddie, a couple months back, had that big announcement, right? 8-year deal? 2 years guarantee, 6-year extension or whatever, 8-year deal for $1 billion. What did it turn out to be, like $125 million a year or something like that? Considering the budget, considering the hoopla, considering Eddie said in an interview that he has some cards up his sleeves. He's got some tricks, meaning he already has some people signed. I did think he would actually be able to get like Thurman, because Thurman probably needs to stay busy, and Showtime's probably not that happy right now to have to pay a big chunk of money for him to fight someone so. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe they'd get him. Maybe there was those rumors about Hurd. I don't know. You know what I mean? I did think he'd be able to pull a name, though. And this is the initial announcement. So, you do have to prove it to people. That may be the case, and then he adds more and more and more. Obviously, when he says pay-per-view worthy cards, they really have to go that way. This thing is going to live or die on quality of cards throughout. And just the other day or yesterday, he was saying, "Well, I have 5 championship fights on my first or my second card." Well, you can't just say 5 championship fights. They have to, 3 out of the 5 or 4 out of the 5 have to be pretty damn good if you're going to have people pay. Now, it's not pay-per-view. I mean, it's pay-per-view, but it's not $50, $60 or nothing, but you're still having them pay. And you're also still, we hear a lot of people, they're obviously looking at the hardcore fan base right now. They want as many they want as many people to sign up, but I'm saying hardcore-wise, that's where they're looking at. That's who they're looking to sign up. And without a name that is recognizable the last couple of years, like really a top-flight guy, the champion at the division, you know what I mean, that type of guy. It is tough, that's the thing about the ESPN Plus. They have a Pacquiao where people are going to, just because they're Pacquiao fans, they're going to sign up, and maybe they'll forget to cancel it. Crawford, the reason why they put that there, he is more of a mainstream boxing, not mainstream crossover, but mainstream boxing. Lomachenko, the same thing. So, although, I complain about some of that stuff, I get it business-wise, too. You know what I mean? I totally get that. It makes sense to put Pacquiao on the damn app. Go over some of his roster. So he has Jesse Vargas. He has Demetrius Andrade. He has Katie Taylor, and you could make the case that Katie Taylor is his best piece. You could actually make the case for that, I believe. He has Big Baby Miller. He has Better Biev. He has Maurice Hooker, and Danny Roman. That's the key components. Now, Demetrius Andrade, Jesse Vargas, I believe Katie Taylor, I believe those are just straight up signed to him. Now, he also did deals like with Better Biev and Hooker. I'm not sure. I think with Roman too. But anyway, so he's co-promoting, which is something he obviously had to do. He's not signing these dudes to long-term contracts because he only has 2 years guaranteed. So he's signing like 3-fight, 5-fight deals tops. So when you got Jesse Vargas is the biggest name. Demetrius Andrade, some people will think he's the most talented guy. Better Biev is got potential. Man, I always go back to 2015 and that Tavoris Cloud and some of those early fights where he was under 8 fights and he was like, dude, this dude could put his punches together. He's got power. Wow, this guy's something. So I mean, there's still room there. Katie Taylor, obviously, potentially really big. I mean, the Irish fans come out, so she could be something there. But if you're not going to think it's underwhelming, you're just not being honest. I say shouts out to the UK a lot, and this is directed at the UK as well. If you think this is a good roster and you're going to vouch for your guy Eddie, it's silly. It's not. It's underwhelming to say the least. It's pretty weak. And you got to remember, I'm saying the hoopla, the money. Remember at the press conference, he said, my phone is buzzing, ringing. I got so many people calling me. And obviously he said that to try to create demand, obviously. Why wouldn't he? I'm not ripping him for saying that. But usually Eddie's pretty straight up in interviews, and I heard him more than one time say he's got an ace up his sleeve already. Well, I really thought that was Jarrett Hurd or Thurman or something. That's not to say Andrade isn't a good-ass fighter. He is. Demetrius Andrade. He could be the best 154-pounder. I mean, if he's going to fight at 54. We know he went at the middleweight, too. So, I don't know. He's a damn good fighter, but, man, he had bad management or I shouldn't say management, but promoter or whatever. But he also made some bad decisions himself. So, that guy's, taking a step forward, 2 steps back a lot these last couple of years. So, Vargas, Better Be of Andre, Big Baby. I mean, you got this $1 billion deal, and this is what you signed? Like I said, if you would have just said, hey, I'm getting my feet wet in America. I'm not taking it over. I'm getting my feet wet, and I'm going to start from scratch, and I'm going to build it up. If that's what he would have went with the whole way through and said that stuff, I'd have been just fine with this roster because you're like, okay, I see what you got here. But no, he said, Steven Espinoza, Al Heyman, none of these guys like me now. They don't like me for obvious reasons because basically I'm going to steal your shit. So I gotta say it's underwhelming. I mean, thank God it's $9.99. That $24.99 when I heard that, I was like, wow, dude, you guys were actually with basically with combat sports. You basically got Bellator and whatever Eddie gives us. So in the World Boxing Super Series, that blow my mind if they was over. I mean, honestly, even over $9.99, anything past that would be stupid at this point. But it's a work in progress. Here's an example. Well, first of all, Anthony Joshua versus Povetkin. That's the opener. They're going to open with that. And Joshua is a pretty decent name here. He's definitely not big, but, we'll see. We'll see what that does. I mean, we'll see. It's an afternoon fight, in the States anyway. We'll see if that, draws some attention there. I mean, hey, he's a big star in the world, and especially the UK. It's a very good fight to start the service with. Now, it's not the U.S. based, but it's still, we're getting 16 of the, of the Sky Sports, basically UK stuff, and then 16 here. And like I said, he's really got to stack these cards. He's got to stack these cards, period. And that's the only way he's going to do it if he doesn't stack the cards. And he can't do what he does he gets away with it in the UK. He can't just be like, oh, we got, 5 title fights, and he's mentioning these little lower belts. But it means a lot to them. But to us, we'd be like, who gives a shit about that? You know what I mean? Like just the other day, he was like, hey, 5 title fights. All right, well, I need these fights to be good, though. They can't just be a titleist, So here's an example. Right now, and this is like the bummer because he said he had September and October figured out. So it's a little weird. Like we all, at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua, he wasn't, he's going to lead with that guy, right? It makes sense. But the only fight that's made like official, well, there's 2 fights. I take that back. But on the first card here, this is October 6th. So September 22nd, as we know, is the AJ Povetkin fight. Then October 6th is in Chicago. And then October 20th is in LA. And that's got Danny Roman and Gavin McDonald on the main event. Now, like I said, he's got to stack that card then. and maybe, I don't know, maybe you should have put Jesse Vargas in LA. We'll find out. I don't know. But right now, for the first card here anyway, the only fight that's done is Beterbiev and Callum Johnson. Now, they're both undefeated. Beterbiev is the favorite. He's the clear favorite. But, Beterbiev has been kind of stuck in quicksand. You know what I mean? His career. He's still not sunk in the quicksand. But it's been weird whether people don't want to fight him, whether he's had issues with his promoter, or injury. He's had some injuries too. So it's been rough for him ever since he was on the scene. But Beterbiev, Callum Johnson, it's nothing wrong with the fight. But I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it. It's not a great fight by any stretch, but the fight works. It's a good undercard fight, I think. It works fine as an undercard fight to me. But then you got Katie Taylor, you got Big Baby Miller, Andrade, and Jesse Vargas on the card, and none of them have opponents yet. It's just kind of weird when you said you had them done and you were going to announce them all. So I feel like if you're going to come out with a light roster you may want to have the fights done so you can kind of focus on the fights. But it is what it is. However, let's use an example of what the card probably needs to be. Jesse Vargas is rumored to fight Granados. Now, I like that fight a whole lot. Granados, we saw Granados. He can draw a nice crowd in Chicago. Because we saw when he went to Cincinnati, remember he went to Cincinnati to fight Broner? Shit, it felt like half the damn crowd was from Chicago, dude. And there might be some Cincinnati people that just don't like Broner anymore. But you could tell Chicago was in the building. That's what I do know. So if they make that fight, Granados and Vargas, I like that fight. Sign me up. By the way, 90 seconds left of the live stream. 646-381-4990. That's 646-381-4990 to call in. We're not going to go too deep tonight, but there is 90 seconds left of it. And I see 310 Mark is in the house too. So we'll have Mark and we'll have Portland giving their takes tonight. So hopefully that's the fight. Granados, Vargas, and better be of Callum Johnson. Now, Katie Taylor has a fight coming up, and if she wins, she's going to face a Serrano sister. Now, not Amanda Serrano, who's probably the better sister, more than likely, right? I mean, if I'm being honest, it's probably Amanda. She's not. I don't believe it's her, but that's basically a done fight because Katie Taylor's supposed to win their next fight, and that's setting that up. Well, that's good. I mean, an Irish fighter in Chicago. There's a lot of Irish people. Better Biev has that Eastern European kind of Polish feel. That's good. But like I said, there is a lot of Mexican and Mexican Americans too in Chicago, and it'd be nice to see Chicago kind of get back into being more of a fight town. And obviously, it's a quick flight and not that long of a drive, so I'd like to see a lot more cars in Chicago because I haven't covered their fight there in a while. So, another fight, Big Baby Miller against Szpilka. Now, Szpilka, you know, he's Polish. A lot of Poles in Chicago, no doubt about it. I think it's the second biggest Polish population in the world. I'm pretty damn sure. Besides their capital, I believe Chicago has the second most Polish people there. So that makes sense. Now, don't get me wrong, though. Big Baby Miller, I mean, he just got knocked out. Not last summer, Szpilka just got, I shouldn't say just got knocked out because it was last summer, but it just, to me, Big Baby Miller against Szpilka right now is just a stay busy fight for Big Baby. Because Szpilka he's done. To me, that's what it looks like to me. Maybe I'm wrong, hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't count that as like, yeah, dude, that's a good-ass fight. Now, like, it may be fun to watch. I'm assuming it actually will be. Szpilka's given us plenty to cheer about, in the past. But at this point, I'm not going to go and call that a quality fight. It might be entertaining, though. And then you have Demetrius Andrade. Now, and here goes some other news. The WBO called Billy Joe Saunders. They called him Billy Ho Saunders. No, I'm just kidding. They called the Mando for his WBO belt, Frank Warren WBO, or it's WBO with Bob only, being Bob Arum. They called Demetrius Andrade to be Billy Joe Saunders mandatory. The purse bid, if it goes to purse bid, it would be July 25th. So that shit's right around the corner. That's next Wednesday. Now that's a good-ass fight. That's the fight that needs to be there. If you have Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade, Granados, Jesse Vargas, Katie Taylor, against Serrano. Then you can be okay, I already said, with Beterbiev and Johnson. You could be okay with Spilka and Big Baby Miller, because at that point, you know, those are just more fights. You know what I mean? So I would be. That's a card that's a great way to start. Considering what you have for a roster, that's pretty damn good. Considering what he's working with, I would say that would be a pretty damn good roster. Or I mean, card. And Eddie Hearn said, well, a lot of these fights I'll just win the purse bid. I'll just win the purse bid. Or, like he said also, if my client can make, if Jesse Vargas or Andre can make more money. And he kept saying, well, if HBO is going to pay, HBO ain't going to pay anybody, dude. I got news for you, Eddie. When it's a pay-per-view, HBO don't pay you, dude. That money doesn't come from HBO. Now, they put it in the pot because they have to show the replay the next week. That's what they pay for. That's what HBO or Showtime, for that matter, pays for. They pay for licensing the fight for the week, the replay. HBO doesn't come up with the money. Now, if it's a deal, like a major deal like it is with Mayweather, well, then you had Showtime/CBS come up with the money. But generally speaking, that the pay-per-views don't come from the networks. They get some money, a very small amount, but they don't put up the money generally. So that wouldn't. I don't know if he's been saying that a bunch. Like the other day, or not the other day, but a while back, he was talking about Jacobs. He's like, it's up to HBO to push Canelo or Golovkin towards Jacobs, and it's like, to be fair, no, it's really not, dude. That's not up to them. They have no deciding factor in that. That's not up to them to get you that fight, and they're not going to pay you, dude. They're not going to pay you. It's going to be the promoter who's paying you in that sense anyway. But so he said, me and Frank Warren, we have issues, but then again, they can still do it on, BT Sports over there, and then DAZN would just be the outlet in America. And he said, I'll just buy the shit. I'll just win the purse bid. However, we're now hearing, now I shouldn't say this like it's a done deal or something, or like I know for sure, because this is what I heard before work, and that was a long-ass time ago. It's damn near 12 hours ago. So, to me, it doesn't sound like that's actually going to be Andre's fight. And if you think about it, if you think about it promotional-wise, you just sign some dude, and he may be your best fighter talent-wise. You could make an argument that Andre and Katie Taylor is your best two fighters. Talent for talent, that could be your top two fighters. It might be. But do you want to put him in with Billy Joe Saunders right away? Is that what you're pumped about? What am I saying though? Because he'd be buying the fight to fight in Chicago. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, maybe he should just let it go. Because then he can, maybe they'll drop the belt. I don't know. But BT Sports could just still broadcast it over there during, at 4 a.m. or whatever. I don't know. That's interesting. But I heard that, that actually is not gonna happen. But that's a disappointment. That's a disappointment. That, in my mind, that's a disappointment because you have to have like I said, you can't just say dude, I got 3 to 5 championship fights on every one of my cards. That's cool. Sounds great. But if the shit's Andre against somebody that we, know he's going to handle, well, what's that going to give you? I don't know. But anyway, like I said, the World Boxing Super Series, July 20th. Friday night. It'll kick off. They'll have that gala from Russia, season 2. We'll know all the matchups by the end of the weekend. So that's pretty dope. We'll know that before the fights on Saturday, actually. There is a rumor that Wilder versus Ortiz is being made right now. There is a rumor out there. Starting to pick up some steam. We may have to stream it. Who the fuck knows, right? But Wilder Ortiz Part 2, it's gaining some steam that may happen next. I'm just putting that out there. I've heard it a couple of different sources. I heard it today on the boxingvoice.com, actually. And they were talking about that it's going to be a potential pay-per-view, which may be disappointing. You'd rather actually then put it on CBS and up the ante that way, which would help the bargaining chip on their side if they could put them in front of 3 or 4 million people. But then again, much like, although it's different in a sense, but much like putting Pacquiao and Crawford and Lomachenko on this app because it's good business, I understand it's much cheaper than a pay-per-view. But I'm saying it makes sense business-wise. You know, if they could do a decent number, like 200 or 250 or whatever, that makes sense for them business-wise, Wilder. You know what I mean? For them to say, hey, I've now done a pay-per-view over here. You know what I mean? But it's also a risk, because if it flops and only does 85,000, well, then it's going to actually make you look worse in the negotiations. But that's just a rumor out there. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I talked about how I think Showtime, you know, it does seem like they're in contact with Tyson Fury. And if I were Showtime, I mean, they just put his fight on. They're probably going to put his next fight on because it's on Frampton's undercard. Even if it's just a YouTube, Facebook stream, that's cool, you know. I would probably try to sign him up for like a 3 or 5 fight deal. Tyson Fury is what I'd do. You don't got to break the bank. You don't got to offer him $50 million. I just, as far as his fights being broadcast in the States, I'd sign him up and let him fight a couple times, and then kind of try to get him to fight here once, and then push that Wilder fight. That's what I'd do. But you definitely have to let him fight a couple more times, and you got to get him fight once here at least. So, and you know, is Frank Warren gonna want to send him here? Until the big payday, he probably wants to keep him busy over there with the BT Sports thing. So, who knows? So yeah, that's news. That's news right now. HBO, like I said, yes, HBO. Don't try. Don't sit down. Just sit down. Be humble. Sit down a little bit. Take a breath. HBO has a doubleheader, guys. They haven't had a fucking fight since May 12th. Is that true? I even got to kind of hear it myself. Is that true? Because remember, they were going to go May 12th all the way to August 4th. But they did manage to get us a fight here. Munguia and Liam Smith. Liam Smith is coming over here again. And who knows? Munguia had that damn great performance against Saddam Ali. The shit out of him. Hurt him right away. Liam Smith can bring it, though. I'll say that. I mean, he's kind of a rough and tumble character. So it should be a fun fight to watch. I'll say that. Undercard is what it is. Golden Boy returns on ESPN on Friday. So does Showbox. All you got to say is Showbox. And you're going to at least tune in or DVR it or some shit. Because you never know. Sometimes you know the prospects. Sometimes you've seen them. Sometimes you haven't. And you're going to, no matter what, you generally speaking, even if it's a veteran fighter who's taken on a prospect, you generally find out about something new, somebody new, or you find another layer or whatever. So keep an eye out for that. But obviously the big one, Usyk versus Gassiev. good matchup on paper. I'm just going to kind of hold off right here. I do want to get the callers in. I'm going to go ahead out to Mark 310, and then I'm going to go to Portland after that. What's going on, Mark? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Chris? What's going on? Can you hear me?
Not a whole lot. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, sounds pretty good. Not a whole lot, man. I had a busy-ass night, so it's probably one of my later shows that I've started. So I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, though. How about you? How are you doing?
Good. Been busy, staying busy and whatnot. But, no, I've been meaning to call in. Been pretty excited about these fights. Can't wait for this weekend actually coming up. There's a bunch of interesting fights going down.
So did you catch anything last weekend? Did you catch any Pacquiao action?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was what it was. I mean, that's the reason why I was going to call in last week when I texted you, because I was like, I had a pretty good prediction for the Pacquiao fight. I mean, it's pretty much what everyone else's was, is that he was going to stop him. I knew that Matisse was done, and that he was, he's just grabbing paychecks right now, man. We saw it in his last fight. We saw it in the fight against Postal. He took a dive in that fight. I knew he was going to take a dive versus Pacquiao. That was going to be my prediction. So he was going to look like shit, and he was going to not do anything and basically take a dive. And that's basically what he did. He just showed up for a paycheck.
Yeah, he was out there like Kaepernick, dude. He was out there like Kaepernick, just taking knees left and right.
And that's what's weird is, it's like, where the hell did these 250 punches come from? I mean, it's like, he didn't throw 250 punches, dude. He threw, maybe 70. From my perspective. And it was all just, bullshit jabs. He wasn't doing shit, man. He was just waiting to get knocked out. I thought it was going to be some shady shit. I think the over-under was it was either 9.5 or 10.5 or something. And I thought that it was going to go on longer. I thought he was going to take a dive right around the over-under, but that wasn't the case. At least I didn't really look at the odds, so I could be wrong on that. But from what I remember, the odds were the over-under was a few more rounds afterwards. So it wasn't any shady shit as far as that goes. But I know that for the under, it was plus 250. It was something people weren't expecting it. People weren't expecting Pacquiao to stop him that early, in the 7th round. But, it happened.
I actually wasn't
we can't
either.
really give.
I thought it'd be a later TKO. I didn't think he'd get him that early.
Yeah, because I was anticipating the dive. That's why. I knew that he was just there just to grab his money and get out of there. You could even tell by looking at his eye. I mean, this was the whole point of him even coming back in general. I think pretty much after the Danny Garcia fight, he's just trying to just get fucking money. He didn't give a shit. You can just tell by the way he's fighting. He doesn't care. His body, his demeanor in the ring is just totally different. He doesn't give a shit if he wins or loses. He's just there for money. And when he quits for his eye hurting in the Postal fight, it's well, you're a professional boxer, and it's okay, yeah, everyone's oh, well, you're not in there taking the point. Well, it's dude, but if you really wanted to win, you wouldn't even be thinking about that until after the fact. Oh, shit, my eye really was fucked up, damn, but I was really trying to win. So that is what it is, dude. It wasn't very impressive as far as Pacquiao goes.
I agree with you, by the way. It did look like he just said, fuck it, I'm good. The second knee in the 5th round was really, dude? Wow.
Yeah,
at least let him fucking hit you clean.
It's almost it makes the dive look better. Because if you just take a couple knees, or if you just go down on bullshit body shots in the rounds before, and then and then just get back up and keep fighting, it looks like you're a warrior. He got knocked down a couple times, and then then he takes a dive a round or two later, and then the dive becomes acceptable at that point. You know what I mean? So that's what I looked at it as. I was yeah, it's because you're gonna take a fucking dive and you want it to look better when you do take the dive in a round or two. That's the reason why he did that. But as far as Pacquiao goes, it's hopefully he can make a little bit more money. That'd be cool if he could grab that Amir Khan fight, before he fights Lomachenko. I do think that he is going to fight Lomachenko. I said a while ago, I wasn't joking about it when I said that, his ultimate goal, Pacquiao's ultimate plan is to take a dive against Lomachenko. He will. And that's going to be really interesting when he does do that, and that's how he's going to go out. He's going to probably just sit down on the stool, act like he's knocked out. He's going to walk in there and just, get styled on the entire time and just basically quit.
His shoulder or some shit, or his calves or something.
The perception after that fight is gonna be, okay, he was a great fighter, but he's done, and he had to drop weight to fight Lomachenko. That's gonna be the whole story afterwards. But at the end of the day,
that's true.
He's planning on
built-in excuse.
He's planning on losing to Lomachenko because it doesn't matter. I mean, people have to look at it from this perspective. When you hear me talking about dives, I come at it from a logical perspective in the sense that, okay, Pacquiao, if he was trying to prove that he was the best at this point, or he still had something, then he would have fought Crawford. But he didn't fight Crawford. So that just goes to show where his intentions are, and his intention is to fucking make money. He needs to make a bunch of money, as much money as possible, before he gets the fuck out. And so at that point, if your objective is making money, you don't give a shit if you win or if you lose. The only reason why you're trying to win is just to make more money. And if the end goal is to lose to Lomachenko, you're going to lose anyway. So I'd like to see him fight Amir Khan and, because I think he'd do good in that fight, man. I think it's a good fight stylistically. And I think it's a big money fight in the UK, and they could both make some money before they go out because, Amir Khan's going to go out by fighting Kell Brook and Pacquiao by fighting Lomachenko. So that'd be a perfect fight for them to make. Why not? Doesn't matter if either one of them wins or loses. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I really want Lomachenko to get it, too, just to get the passing of the torch,
For sure. But, with the way things are going with, Mikey fighting Robert Easter and it really looking like they're going to unify, that, I thought it was a whole monkey wrench into that whole shit because we don't know, because Pacquiao would fight him at 35? I don't know if Pacquiao would go all the way down to 35. They'd probably meet at 40, right? Probably.
Well, here's the thing. Like, they've made it clear on the Lomachenko side they're not doing a catch weight. He can make 40 pretty easy, though. I mean, he's known for, and this is well over a decade, Pacquiao's known to eat a full big meal during the day before he weighs in the afternoon. So,
yeah,
35,
he'll come in
though,
at 143. He'll come in at 43, 44.
Yeah, exactly. 35 could be rough, though. Just that last couple of pounds, you never know. I thought about it. I think it's the summer, I think it was June when he fought Diaz. I believe it was June because he fought Marquez, I believe, in March of 2008, the second time, and that was at 130. And I think he just had one fight, if I remember correctly.
Only one. It was only one against Diaz.
Yep.
Yeah, only one.
Diaz, yep. So he was there, and then he was gone. So I'm not sure. I know he could make 140, but I don't know, man. I really don't know if – because remember all those clips of him always having to eat. Ariza was always feeding him shit, you know what I mean? Like back, when he was trying to stay at 7, so – Yeah, but we've seen this time and time again. When a guy gets up to that age, you can't be going down it. The worst thing possible for them to do is to drop just
down
like Oscar,
again,
right? Just
yeah.
like Oscar.
Yeah. But like I said, he'll do it just to, because he's not there to win. That's his farewell, going out, like pass the torch, take a dive against this dude. I mean, by the way that Pacquiao looked, if he was actually trying to win in a fight against Lomachenko at like a little bit higher of a weight, maybe, or even at 35, but if he really, really tried, it would be a decent fight. But I think Lomachenko would probably it might be, I don't know, he probably would still win 7-5. His legs are just way too fresh for Pacquiao. He still looked good. The angles are there, though. I like how he was switching up. We've never seen Pacquiao do anything that much different with that left hand. I liked how he actually introduced that left uppercut, instead of just coming straight forward with the straight left.
Yeah.
That was
And
that was
he's
cool.
really
That
good
was
at
kinda
using that right hook now, too.
Yeah, I think he always was. I mean, that right hook was always dope as fuck. He put down Ricky Hatton with it. He was always, they claimed that it was from Freddie Roach, but I think that was bullshit. I mean, his right hook was always pretty serious. I mean, you're a southpaw and you get up to that level.
I just remember when he was coming up, all he would do was launch left hand. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm not
was his
saying
main,
like
but,
he just got it, but there was a time where he finally would throw his right hook.
Yeah. And in the higher weights, the guys aren't as fast and as good on the inside, once you get up to like 40, 47. And so I think that's the reason why it came out a little bit more. But at the lighter weights, at 130, 135, it seemed like it was harder for him to land that. So he had to land shit from long distance, which is really only his left hand. But that's what I saw from it. All that other stuff about him learning the right hook from Freddie Roach, that was all bullshit and, just a promotional thing. But I don't think I saw any other fights from the weekend, though. What else was there from the weekend? Is there any other recap?
I mean, there was ESPN stuff with Prograis and Teofimo Lopez and that type of thing, but
I
it was
only
mostly
saw
just
a little
stay
bit of
busy stuff.
Yeah, I only saw a little bit of the Prograis, and I wasn't really all that impressed. That is what it is. Got to see him against. I got to see. I got to watch the whole fight. I don't want to pass any judgment on it. But from what I saw a couple of rounds and I saw him getting hit. It was. I wasn't. I was expecting more. For what it was. They're touting it like this is supposed to be like a showcase fight for him and all that shit. It seemed like he didn't look that good from what the small clips that I saw, but. Let me touch on this DAZN shit really, really quick, because I heard you talking about it when I just called in, and the thing is this: there's a couple reasons why. Trust me, when I saw that roster, I was like, I wonder what the whole angle here is, because you got $1 billion behind this deal, and you're not bullshitting about the deal, and you're clearly talking to a bunch of fighters and shit like that, but. I think the reason why it sort of makes sense, and I think he touched on this a little bit. The reason why you haven't seen the Thurman and the Garcia, because I figured he would grab the Porter Garcia fight. I figured he'd grab everybody. Dude. Yeah, me too, for sure. But I think what happened is because when he comes out, maybe people in the UK they don't. I mean, Eddie Hearn seems like a smart guy. From where he comes from, it's
100%.
He seems pretty sharp. He seems pretty, logical, when he talks. So, but I think because maybe he's from the UK, he doesn't realize that, you don't come to America and just announce, hey, I have $1 billion. I'm about to run shit. I'm gonna be running shit. Like you don't you don't do that, because then the people are gonna start to rob you. They're gonna try to take advantage of you in the sense of when you go to Mikey Garcia's smart. When you go to Charlos, they're smart. They grew up here in America. They understand. So when you go to them and right after you said that you're gonna be running shit, you're taking shit over. Fuck that. I'm throwing money around like crazy. And you announce that shit. What they're gonna do is they're gonna try to milk you for as much as possible. So you might go to Mikey Garcia and be like, I'm gonna give you $5 million a fight, and he's gonna be like, nah, I'm already making that now. Then you go back and say, I'm gonna give you $6 million or $7 million, and he's like, no, I'm still already making that. The reason why Mikey Garcia is saying that's because you came out saying that you're running shit and you're gonna start throwing money around. That's the reason why these fighters because they're trying to get more money out of you, and I think he realizes that. And so what he's doing is he's saying okay, if you're really making that, or if other people are really matching my offers, then let's see if they actually give you what the fuck you're claiming that they're going to give you. And if they don't, then I'm going to give you what I claimed, what I said that I was going to give you. He's basically calling
he's
calling the bluff on his. Yeah, he's calling the bluff on his competitors. He's basically saying, okay.
But he may not know something either. He may not know something about Al and the PBC and Fox either, though. You know what I mean?
But either way, it's not
good
for the fighters.
To keep him busy is what I'm saying. To keep him busy,
Yeah. If they just need a fight here and there, especially for Dave basically fights for sure. It would make a lot of sense for them to. I don't know how the fuck anyone else is going to match the numbers that he's talking about. But even when people like Adrian Broner, who clearly is not very business savvy at all, he's not very for the amount of revenue that he's seen. He's not at all. He's not that smart. As far as business goes, because if he was smart, then he would know you don't go and first of all, you don't violate and like straight up just tell everyone what Eddie Hearn offers you and post the shit for one, and then claim that you're already making that when on paper it claims that you're not making that. There's a lot of people out there that are that what does he think that the IRS is going to think about that? The IRS is going to fucking audit his ass. He's so stupid. Like anybody can make an inquiry on anybody on the IRS website. I mean, anyone that's made any real money in life, touched real high numbers before, they know this. And so I don't know what he was thinking doing that. And even these fighters claiming that they're making more money, like what Eddie Hearn said, like if there's an extra 1.5 million out there, then I must not understand the sport of boxing, or there must be something going on that's not legal. And that's basically what he's referring to. Like, dude, why?
Right, but you can make money on the back end of the gate and stuff like that, and the sales, the domestic sales.
Sure.
Not domestic, but
sure.
So those numbers come in a little later, though, too. So, because remember, that gets published Friday.
I just don't think they should.
You know what I mean? But it was dumb for him to put money out anyway.
And they could be getting percentages of shit that's happening in the arena, drinks and shit. They could be getting other shit. But at the end of the day, you're not going to want to claim that you're making more publicly like that. I mean, these fighters, they should know that by now. I mean, the big chunk of their purse.
Or even put the contract out. It's like, why even put the contract and the offer out? Why just keep it low?
That's dumb as shit. Yeah, that's not smart to anybody. People aren't laughing with you; they're laughing at you, man. Even your fans, they're laughing at you. Like, dude, that's really stupid. That's really, really dumb. Don't be surprised you get fucking audited and you get fucked in a couple of years. But that is what it is. Also, on top of that, you gotta think about it like this too. Why he didn't because he probably could secure some of these guys if he just upped the numbers a little bit. But I think he's just trying to save some of the funds, for the overall project. Because you got to look at, if he's launching with AJ versus Povetkin, it accomplishes a couple things. For one, we're going to find out in September how AJ, because there's no one signed to DAZN, so it's just AJ right now as far as people that are going to buy the fucking app. So right now, if no one signed up by September 22nd, we're going to find out what kind of value AJ really has in the States to see how many people actually pick up a fucking app. If 150,000 people pick it up, then they know where they're at. If they know if 600,000 people fucking subscribe, then he knows where he's at. And the good thing about the deal is, because I'm in the same industry as far as recurring billing, continuity-based, campaigns, which is what DAZN is. So I know that's why I knew what the price point was going to be and all that other stuff, because I'm in the same industry. So I just know that at any time, if he wants to, if he has the ability just to sign one fight, if he just wants to secure Keith Thurman versus one guy, if he wants to do Thurman versus fucking Jesse Vargas for 1 week,
to win a bid too, he could sneak something in.
For sure, because then when you just get one fight, then you can get, let's say you get 200,000 people to try to see Thurman fight Jesse Vargas. From that, they already know how many people they're going to retain. They already know how many people from the 200,000 are not going to cancel at the end of the 30 days. They already know that. They already have it mapped out. There's a certain percentage of people that just aren't going to. And it's a profitable business model. That's the reason why ESPN Plus bought the Pacquiao fight.
Yeah, they're just banking on it. It's like they'll just either forget or decide not to or whatever. But a certain, a certain percentage.
Yeah, the numbers are always the numbers. You always know you're going to get a certain amount. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. I build people for they don't want the pride. It has absolutely nothing to do with even if people like it or if they don't like it, there's always going to be a certain amount of people that you retain always, all the time. Especially when you're talking about an OTT platform, which is a platform what the zone is, on the phone. Because the way you got to cancel it is pretty shady. You have to go to your settings. You have to go to your Apple settings. I'm not even gonna explain that because that's fucking with the game. I don't even want to tell people how that got canceled. But it's complicated. You have to Google it to cancel it. Basically, is what I'm saying. You can't just call up. It's different. But I agreed with a lot of shit that you said about DAZN, though. It's kind of like, it kind of is what it is. I think he's just holding back, and he just, he's saying he's calling the bluff on his competitors. If they're really going to match, someone is going to really pay Mikey Garcia what they're claiming they're paying him, then okay. Then he'll probably come back with more money. But chances are that's probably bullshit. And at the end of the day, the fighters are going to have to come to their senses and be like, all right, okay, I'll sign with you, like whatever, just for, even if it's just for a fight or whatever, because
maybe the ones that lose these big fights coming up in the next 6 to 8, 9 months, like Porter.
Yeah.
If he loses to Danny, why not get Porter? Like, why not? That's where I really thought that he was going to get Thurman for that reason too, just to bring him back, and at least you got a guy that, people. Now they kind of want to see if he's got anything left, or if he's going to be not anything left, but his heart's not into it. There's going to be a lot of people that want to see Thurman just to see if he gets fucked up. It's been out, so long. So weird way.
Even Thurman against Jesse Vargas would be a good fight.
Yeah.
Thurman against Vargas would be a good fight right now. Like that would be like, for me, I would be like, oh shit, is Thurman going to be able to fucking win this?
I'd travel to Chicago for sure for that. Like that'd be a good fight.
Yeah, definitely. That's the reason why I like the concept of it, because there's so many fights that they're not pay-per-view worthy, but that you can probably get a bunch of people, especially the hardcore fans, to pay $10 for, of course. Because you're just looking at it like it's $10, and on top of that, hey,
you just
it's a 30-day
put
trial.
on like 3 to 5 good fights a timeout. Somewhere in that 3 to 5 range. That's pretty good.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't get that now.
Plus, it's like it's a 30-day trial, so it's just like even if you're a hater, even if you're on the fence about it, like no one's gonna do this. This sucks. This zone and shit.
Right.
You're still gonna fucking do it because it's fucking free, just to see the fight. Okay. So
exactly.
I mean, at the end of
that strikes you that you want to see at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the reason why. I mean, there's a high likelihood that it's going to be successful, at least for a couple of years. As far as the full 8 years, that remains to be seen. We'll find out what happens there. But just to get more boxing content, everybody should be happy about that. At the end of the day, I think it's awesome that there's people are like, we see real shit happening, and people are like putting some real revenue into the sport.
Yep.
That's
real money.
What it's all about.
That's our investment in the last couple of years that we haven't seen. So I agree, man.
It's awesome.
Fuck all the politics.
Yeah, man. People.
You're wrong, but yeah, if you can get big business to it, and a lot of it had to do with Mayweather and Pacquiao and seeing what these guys are making on one night, and it really got people to thinking, and obviously the PBC as well, getting the investors. It just got people like, wow, okay. And next thing you know, we got another one that wants to put out a bunch of money. So, yeah, it's pretty dope. You're right.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's cool that they got the World Boxing Super Series as well, which was a must that they had to have. They had to be the network the app that has that. What do you think about the uysk-gassiev? This is a big fight.
Man,
a lot of people.
I'm looking forward to it just because this fucking year. This year sucked in comparison to last year, man. Just because the past month, I was just thinking about. I'm like, fuck, man. Like there was I was like, shit, man. I want to call into the show because what the fuck? There's nothing to fucking talk about. Like it's all bullshit. Fucking the Perez Hiltons of boxing talking about fucking rumors and bullshit offers and shit like that going on in boxing. So, it's finally something's actually going on. But as far as this fight goes, I took a look at, I never really had anything good to say about Gassiev. Like I said, in my opinion, they fucked up with the way that they set up, the brackets of this tournament. The final should have been fucking Maris Briedis versus Usyk. I said that a while ago. I said that, before they fought and after they fought or whatever. because that was really the final, man. Breedis would beat Gassiev. Gassiev, at the end of the day, he's a basic fighter. Don't get me wrong. I like his tenacity. I love his heart. When you look at people have to watch that Lebedev fight because
he didn't have that pedigree that we are normally seeing out of Russians and Eastern Europeans. He didn't have a long, extensive amateur career at all. He is raw. You are correct.
Yeah. He's a basic fucking fighter in the sense that he's heavy-handed, but there's not much variance in his punches or the angles of his punches really. And I say that he's basic primarily because he has to be set to punch with any type of real authority. And don't get me wrong, when he is set, he's got fucking power in both hands. Don't get me wrong, he's a real deal type of power puncher for sure. But if his feet aren't planted, then he's not dangerous. People have to watch. If people haven't seen the him versus Lebedev fight, you got to watch that because that's a great fight. Plus, it exposes pretty much everything about Gassiev. A lot of positives about him. It proves that he comes on late. He doesn't tire. He keeps coming. He keeps coming regardless. When you look at that fight, I think that he should have lost that fight. They gave it to him by split decision. I believe that he should have lost. I only gave him 2 or 3 rounds, but there were, it was a great fight.
It was a tight fight. It was a very tight fight.
Yeah, the rounds that he won though were close rounds, whereas when Lebedev would clearly win rounds, it was he really won the round. It was no debating. The first half of the fight before the knockdown, and even a round or 2 after the knockdown, Lebedev was schooling him. He exposed the shit out of all of fucking Gassiev's flaws. That's the reason why it's an important fight to watch, and it's just a really, really just entertaining fight in general, dude. But I mean, Gassiev, he's just a little wild.
Division, dude. It's a cruiserweight division. They always have good fights.
Yeah. I see why you guys were always talking about it, like before, and because there are a lot of exciting fights as far as that goes. But as far as just straight up talent, you know what it is? Because a lot of the guys, they don't have a lot of good movement. As far as not a lot of good movement, not a lot of good defense, especially Gassiev, man. He's one of those dudes where it's when you look at the reason why Lebedev is giving him problems is because Gassiev doesn't have the upper body movement. He has a good upper body movement when he's coming forward, when he's attacking a dude. If he has to land his left uppercut, which is a dope-ass fucking punch, that's pretty much his money punch by his left uppercut and his left hook. Really, really
his
strong.
His overhand right. It's kind of wild, but it's good.
His right is cool. Yeah, that's the problem. He's a little wide with it, and I see Usyk countering him a lot because of that. He's real strong with it, but you never really see him get the full turn on the punch. He always ends up hitting the person with his palm almost, but he still gets him out of there. But I mean, it's he doesn't really fully turn over he's a little wild with it. It's gonna work to his disadvantage in this fight, but it's really his defense. He doesn't have any upper body. He doesn't evade punches using his upper body. He just fucking puts his hands up. You know what I mean? And to try to block punches, which is fine in this division. But the problem is that when you look at the Lebedev fight and even a couple other fights, when dudes have a good jab and they're keeping their jab pumping against them, it keeps them preoccupied. And we all know Usyk. I mean, Usyk is definitely, as far as talent goes, he's top 5 pound for pound. As far as Usyk, he's a great talent in the sport of boxing. This is obvious. It's undeniable. And in the if you clearly watch the Lebedev fight, the first 6 rounds, even though just the whole fight in general really came out, you could see he's susceptible to the right hook and the dude that moves a lot. And, Lebedev is a southpaw. Usyk is a fucking southpaw, with good movement that uses his jab a lot. So this is right up Usyk's alley. The fight, at the end of the day, the fight is going to look exactly like what Lebedev versus Gassiev looked like before Gassiev knocked him down with that body shot, which was a great left hook to the body, by the way, and he caught him while he was using lateral movement, which maybe could. No, I don't think that would happen to Usyk, because Usyk, his movement is on a totally different level than Lebedev, but Lebedev just did good because of his movement. But It's a tailor-made fight basically for fucking Usyk. I don't think that he's gonna get him out of there. It seems like Gassiev is really durable, but it's gonna look like he's not gonna be able to get his punches off. Gassiev he's gonna be so busy blocking everything that he's just gonna get styled on and just schooled for fucking 12 rounds, and it's gonna be, it's not gonna be like the Breedis. Like I said before, Breedis is a much better fighter than Gassiev. But don't get me wrong, you watch that Lebedev fight, the way that Gassiev came on late, it was really impressive. You see that 7th, 8th, 9th round, 10th round, it was like, he was really, even though he was getting hit with a lot of shit, and like, Lebedev had more like just straight up fundamental boxing talent than him, in the later rounds, Gassiev came on. So really, Usyk, all he has to look out for is that left hook in the later rounds, and he has to be in great shape, which I'm sure that he is, because Gassiev, he keeps coming and coming and coming, and he's the same in the first round as he is in the 12th round. That's what's special about him. His tenacity, that coupled with his power.
Yeah, he actually seems like he picked it up.
Is dangerous. Yeah, that's what makes him dangerous, because even if you're more talented than him, it's like, shit, you better be in great shape, because he'll fucking stop you in the 10th, 11th, 12th, and he's still there, moving the same
speed.
He's
got those psychopath eyes, too.
Yeah. You can tell you that he's just like, whatever, I'm getting you the fuck out of there. The only thing that's wild about him is just that right hand, like you said. He's a little wide with that right hand. That's pretty much it, though, man. Like Usyk, it's tough for anyone at cruiserweight or at heavyweight. Luis Ortiz could probably beat him, but I don't think anyone else at heavyweight could even beat him. I mean, he looked bad. The only time he didn't look good was a few rounds of that Michael Hunter fight. But it was partially.
He ended up
people
terrorizing him too. He ended up hurting him really bad.
Yeah. He showed some real, will in that fight, real heart in that fight in the later round. Like, what was it, the last round or something, when they should have just stopped it? He was just, it was clearly like, Hunter was knocked out on his feet for sure, and they should have stopped it. But when you look at those middle rounds, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, they say that Usyk got exposed, but not really. They're not giving Michael Hunter the amount of credit that they should. I think that, he's a little undervalued fighter as far as his head movement and his foot movement. When you watch that fight, it's like he has a lot. He has a lot better movement than someone like Gassiev. Like he moves good laterally. He was slipping punches. He was a tricky fighter. Like, that's the reason why Usyk didn't look that good for him for a few rounds. But Usyk, he's a real talent, man. He's one of the best in the sport. He's got really, really quick hands at close range, and that's what I like to see. When I see that in fighters, that's how I know that they're going to be really, really hard to beat. When you see a guy that not only is quick on his feet, light on his feet, but that when he gets close, you see him he has really quick hands and quick combinations at close range, and can move out after he lands a counter. That's how you know he's really. I mean, in my opinion. Like when you watch people like Billy Joe Saunders is like that too, to an extent. So he moves a little bit too much, but I see Usyk.
So what's your official prediction?
Usyk he's gonna blow him out.
You're talking like 10-2,
sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Easy. It's gonna be easy. It's gonna be pretty easy. Yeah, for sure. I don't see him losing any more than 2 to 3 rounds for sure.
Well, thanks for calling in. As always, we're going to get out to Portland next, man. Go ahead.
What about the Munguia fight? I wanted
Go for
to because I saw a it's interesting because I think they chose this fight because I watched a highlights video of him, and I wasn't expecting. I didn't think I was going to see anything special about him, but it seems like Jaime Munguia is like he's pretty serious of a fighter, man. Like, he's got, like, real power in both hands when you see the knockouts. Really, really dope left hook. And the reason why I mention that is just because Liam Smith he's susceptible to that left hook. That's the reason why they took this fight. He's going to stop him. I think Liam Smith is going to get knocked out. He got hit with the left hook a lot by Canelo. That's actually the punch that put him out too, was a left hook to the body. But throughout the fight, you saw him get hit with left hooks a lot. And I forgot who else. But whatever. He's susceptible to a lot of left hooks, and he clearly is soft to the body. So as far as that goes, I think people are going to be really impressed by Munguia again. And, yeah, he's going to stop Liam Smith for sure. This is a match-made fight. Yeah, they good matchmaking as far as the promotional aspect of Munguia goes.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
But what's bullshit, though, is this Machado fight is, his fucking opponent doesn't even have a picture on BoxRec. Did you notice that? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why I just brought it up and talked a little bit about Munguia, and that was about it, just like you did, because it's like there's not much to really, it's
bullshit.
I guess it's like, hey, at least they're having a card before August 4th, but yeah, it's HBO at this point. But like you said, it is good matchmaking, and if he has another like easier fight, he probably could fight one more time this year, Munguia.
Yeah, it seems like that's the next dude they're trying to hype a little bit. But, I think that's pretty much it, dude.
Yeah, we're winding down here. We got to get out to Portland.
Stopped. For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, I'll try to call him next week.
All right, buddy. You take it easy.
All right, man.
Later. And I'm with you. I think Munguia is going to knock him out. I do think Gassiev can win a couple more rounds, maybe 8-4. I'm not quite 10-2 whitewash, but yeah, I do think it kind of matters how Usyk wants to fight. If he wants to kind of fight on the inside and kind of fight like he did in spots with Hunter, and maybe a couple other moments in other fights, but nothing sustainable, then I think it could be a tighter fight. But yeah, defensive-wise, I've said this a handful of times about Gassiev. The fight I saw a couple of years ago, we were right front row, and that's that highlight reel knockout he had a couple of years ago. And, I mean, his face was pink by the end of the round. He was getting hit so much. And I really was low on him then. I was like, damn, dude, this dude gets hit a lot. But he did get a little better. Anyway, I do think Usyk will just be too much, too skillful and all that, unless he wants. And the one thing I'll say is, scorecard-wise, it is in Russia with Gassiev. So if it is 8-4, and let's say out of the 8 that Usyk won, 2 or 3 of them were close, or not close, but competitive, like just an action fight to an extent in moments throughout the round or whatever. If we think Usyk won 8 or 9 rounds, but out of the 8, let's say, if it were to be there, I'm just saying it's in Russia, okay? But I am picking Usyk. I think it'll be a unanimous decision. I do think it maybe favors more the 9-3, 8-4 variety, but maybe I'm just giving Gassiev an extra round or two too much. Let's go out to Portland and close this thing down. What's going on, Portland? How you doing, buddy? 503. It's been a while, man. A couple of weeks. You've been busy at work. The timing hasn't worked out, but what's going on, man?
Oh, yeah. What up, Chris? I'm good. I know, man. It's been hectic over here because you know how the summers get, bro. Everything gets busy and shit. So, but can't hate on the overtime and everything. So you know what I mean? Like Floyd Mayweather says, it's always about that check. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about.
Yes, sir.
But how you doing, Chris? How's everything, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm having a great summer and whatnot, but I really was hoping you'd call in because I wanted to hear you talk about Pacquiao. It's just kind of fun to me.
You mean Manny Pacquiao?
That's right.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao, man. In all honesty, man, I didn't get to watch the full fight because it's obviously on ESPN Plus, and I'm not caving just yet to any streams until I see something juicy. But Manny Pacquiao this weekend, man, obviously he stole the show. Everybody's saying I did see the highlights and I did see the knockdowns and all that shit and what the atmosphere was and all that. This fight took part in Malaysia, and it's kind of nice to see out of the realm kind of fights. You know what I mean? Like not just in the States and all that. So that was kind of nice. But Manny, everybody's saying he looked like the old Manny Pacquiao, and he put Lucas Matisse away in the 7th round by a KO, and a lot of people are questioning Matisse's motives. You know what I mean? Was he just there for a paycheck? Or did he look that bad, or did Manny Pacquiao look that good and everything? And but from what I saw, Matisse, it's just I think it's the end of the road for him. It's this is such a big opportunity. It's he dropped the ball. You know what I mean? He shit the bed. So no, you know what I mean? I'm not hearing any good things about Lucas Matisse, and I love Lucas Matisse, man. I mean, he's a hell of a fighter. I've always loved him, and I've always respected him. And he's my Spanish brother. You know what I mean? So we got to back each other up. And in all honesty, I did. I was choosing. I'm not gonna lie. I was choosing Lucas Matisse for the win here because we Lands got to stick together and everything. So and obviously I'm not gonna lie. I thought Manny Pacquiao was gonna whip his ass, but I got to ride with my fighter, and I fall with my fighter. So you know what I mean? That's what it's about. And but Matisse took a hell of an ass whooping, and but I'm hoping the payday was worth it. And but Manny Pacquiao, you know what I mean? Money Pacquiao, he's back. He's back in action. Looking good and everything. I'm happy, for him. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy that he got the knockout and he's looking good and it made a lot of noise and people are talking about him again. And we could get away from all the Pacquiao being too soft on his opponent. Coast making him coast with them all 12 rounds. And and this is the first time in a long time without Freddie Roach. And you know what I mean? And I don't know, man. It's I think in my opinion, everybody has speculations. Yeah, Boo Boy. Now he has Boo Boy, right? Yeah, thank God for Boo Boy, man. And I love it, man. If you could bring out this killer Pacquiao, man, that's what I want to see, man. The Pacquiao of old, man. That's what I've been dying to see, man. And I don't want to hear this, this Pacquiao talking about God and talking about faith and God bless you and and my government and thank you to Bob Arum and the Philippines. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear that. I want to hear a killer, man. I want that Manny Pacquiao of old, man. I want that gambler. I want that womanizer. I want that killer, man.
But it's like it's a crafty smile, like I'm gonna go and fuck somebody up. It's not like a
exactly,
it's
bro.
a happy smile, but like a I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I do like his look when he comes out to the ring because he's got this smile.
Yeah, man. And then I love it too when in all honesty, I love it too when he's getting introduced and all of a sudden he's got the devil eyes. You know what I mean? He's pressing up against the you could tell he's squeezing the gloves. You could tell the moment's there, and you could tell he's getting focused, and it's like the smiles are over. It's time to fight, and I love that about Pacquiao too. But in all honesty, man, people people are thinking he's back. In my opinion, man, people think he was on PEDs, PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, and in my honest opinion, I really hope he was. That people are talking about it. It was in Malaysia. Who knows what the drug testing was? And I say, good, man, fuck it, you know what I mean? If he's going to be back on it, man, fuck it, dude, let's do it, man, you know what I mean? In my honest opinion, man, I've always loved that Pacquiao, that killer Pacquiao, but, but if this is what it takes to be on the top, man, and put away fighters, that you have to dabble on some juice or whatever the hell you got to do, then do it, man. I mean, that's my honest opinion, man. And if Matisse wanted to be on it that night, too, I mean, I would have, that would have been pretty sweet, too, but who knows, you know what I mean? But in my honest opinion, like you were talking about earlier, Chris, like, you mentioned that he hasn't had a fight or a knockout since 2009. And who was it against? Was it Cotto or Hatton?
Cotto.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Was it Cotto? Okay.
And it was a
and Cotto.
TKO. They actually could have stopped the fight maybe like in the 9th, but they didn't, and they probably shouldn't have stopped it then if they hadn't, because I think it was in the 11th or 12th. I think it was in the 12th, actually. It was one where you're like, well, dude, if he's up now, don't stop it now. You should have stopped it back then, that type of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, and so his last knockout was against Cotto, and now he knocked out Matisse. So, but hey, I mean, I love it, man. I mean, I can't hate on Pacquiao for this one. He did what he had to do, and then he's back in the winning column with a knockout.
Just so you know.
How much?
I just want to give you a warning. Just a couple of minutes. It's tough to say because
okay.
I say 3 minutes, but you know how it is. Sometimes he gives us more, sometimes he gives us less.
All right. I'll close it out. Dog. All right. But yeah, man, as far as that, and there's an article out there, him calling out Mayweather. I don't see that fight happening anytime soon. But I do see in my honest opinion, I do see the Thurman fight happening, man. I think I see it happening in November, man. And we'll see though. That's my prediction for Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman, November, somewhere in November, I think. And I believe that's what's going to happen. That's my 100% honest opinion. But we've seen some crazier shit. So, but yeah, and as you guys are talking about the fight of the weekend. My boy Jamie Munguia. That's what it's about, guys. The boy is about the Mexicans, man. He makes noises. And, Jamie Munguia destroyed Saddam Ali in his last fight, and I predicted it. A lot of people went with their gut and chose Ali because they knew who he was and not Munguia, but I knew who Munguia was because of being sports. And shout out to
Hey you, with a rhinestone dog collar. Between us dogs, I just convinced my human to upgrade to a new home with a 1,200 square foot bathroom. I think she called it a yard. With Wells Fargo's 3% down mortgage option, my human realized a new home was within reach, and I only gave her puppy eyes once. Get your human to talk to a mortgage consultant or learn more at wellsfargo.com/woof.
Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. Down payments as low as 3% on a fixed rate loan require mortgage insurance. Ask a home mortgage consultant about loan requirements. Wells Fargo Home Mortgage is a division of Wells Fargo Bank N.A., equal housing lender, NMLSR ID 399801.
Buffalo Wild Wings thinks your afternoons could use a little spicing up, so they're happy to remind you about, well, happy hour. You know the concept. Grab your friends and visit your nearest B-Dubs to score $4 shareables like street tacos, fried pickles, chili queso dip, mozzarella sticks, and roasted garlic mushrooms. There are beverages, too, like select domestic craft beers starting at $3.25, and deals on select liquor and house cocktails. Phew, that's a mouthful. Which reminds me, I'm hungry, and happy hour is sounding pretty good right about now. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. Offers and participation vary. Please drink responsibly. Void where prohibited.